Welcome to Grand Prix, your go-to channel for the fastest updates in Formula One. We've got 3 hot stories for you, so make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay ahead of the pack. Let's get started.
What's up, my friends? How's everyone doing? Let's get straight to the point with today's big question. Who will be the Red Bull drivers for next season? After all, the only one who is 100% guaranteed in the car is Max Verstappen. Beyond that, nothing is set in stone. Not in the main team and not even in the junior squad, Racing Bulls. The driver market is wide open, and in typical Red Bull fashion, the rumors and behind-the-scenes negotiations are heating up. Over the last few weeks, multiple names have been mentioned as possibilities, and according to fresh reports from the European press, Helmut Marko has surprisingly revisited an old option: Alexander Albon. Yes, the Thai British driver who many thought had closed his Red Bull chapter is back on the radar. To give some context, Albon's history with the team has been turbulent. He debuted in Formula One in 2019 with Toro Rosso, and still that same year was promoted to Red Bull to replace Pierre Gasly. But despite some solid performances, by 2020, his results weren't consistent enough, and he was dropped at the end of the season. Many thought that was the end of his story with the energy drink team. However, Albon reinvented himself at Williams, becoming the cornerstone of their rebuild. His maturity, speed, and leadership have been praised, and Williams sees him as a central figure to take the team into the 2026 regulations with momentum. That's exactly what caught Red Bull's attention. Behind the scenes, it's being reported that Marko has restarted conversations with Albon, and here's where things get political. The majority shareholder of Red Bull is Thai billionaire Chalerm Yovidya, and he has long wanted Albon to represent the brand at the highest level. His influence could open doors that might otherwise remain shut. There's also been constant talk about Red Bull pushing for a future Thai Grand Prix, and having Albon in the lineup would align perfectly with that strategy. But here's the complication. Red Bull has 4 seats to fill for 2026. Verstappen is locked in, and young talent Isaac Hajar is also confirmed. That leaves 2 spots, and the competition is fierce. Yuki Tsunoda, Liam Lawson, and Arvid Lindblad are all in contention, and now Albon's name joins the mix. That's 4 strong candidates for just 2 openings. The big question is whether Albon would even want to return. At Williams, he is valued, respected, and part of a long-term project that could pay off when the new rules arrive. At Red Bull, the pressure cooker environment is notorious. Second drivers are constantly compared to Verstappen, and history has shown how unforgiving the team can be. Just ask Gasly, Perez, or even Albon himself from his first stint. Would it make sense for him to walk away from stability and jump back into that pressure? From the outside, it seems unlikely he'd say yes, but Formula One is full of surprises. Drivers often say no until the right contract, the right salary, and the right promises come along. And with Red Bull's Thai ownership so invested in seeing Albon back, it would be a mistake to rule it out completely. So now I'll pass the question to you. Do you think Albon would be a good signing for Red Bull at this stage of his career? Should he take the risk and try again alongside Verstappen? Or should he stay with Williams, where he has built a solid reputation and could lead them into the future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know which side of this debate you're on.
Hey my friends, how's it going? Today we're diving into one of the hottest topics of the season, Lewis Hamilton's tough start at Ferrari. After 17 rounds, the 7-time world champion has yet to score a single podium, something almost unthinkable for a driver who spent more than a decade accustomed to fighting at the very top of Formula One. This underwhelming performance has sparked a wave of criticism, and recently former F1 driver and respected analyst Mark Surer didn't hold back. In an interview, Surer described Hamilton as acting like a spoiled child, pointing out that throughout most of his career, Lewis always had the fastest or one of the fastest cars on the grid, first with McLaren, and then, of course, during Mercedes' dominant years. According to Surer, when Hamilton no longer has the best car at his disposal, his weaknesses become far more apparent. The numbers back up this view. Ferrari currently sits third in the Constructors' Championship with 286 points, just 4 behind Mercedes. Among drivers, Hamilton is only 6th overall with 121 points, while his teammate Charles Leclerc has collected 165. That gap highlights how much Hamilton has struggled to consistently beat Leclerc in his very first season with the Scuderia. Sir went even further, comparing Hamilton directly with Fernando Alonso. He argued that Alonso has always been able to adapt to difficult situations, extracting every bit of performance out of any car, no matter how uncompetitive it was. Hamilton, on the other hand, has looked far less effective when not fighting at the front, despite his experience and past success. It's not the first time Hamilton has been questioned in this way. In recent years, we've already seen George Russell outshine him at Mercedes in certain moments. Now at Ferrari, the challenge is even tougher. Leclerc is not only quick and talented, but also deeply integrated with the team, giving him a natural edge over Hamilton as he learns his way inside the Italian squad. Still, many argue that Hamilton is not the only one at fault. The reality is that Ferrari itself continues to struggle. From questionable strategies to slow pit stops and cars that start strong but fade as races go on, the team has failed to provide a consistently competitive package. Even for a driver as decorated as Hamilton, shining under these circumstances is a monumental task. Another factor worth mentioning is the process of adaptation. After spending so many years with one team, transitioning to Ferrari is more than just learning how to handle a new car. It involves adjusting to a different culture, a new way of working with engineers, and dealing with the immense pressure that comes with driving for the most famous team in motorsport. The Ferrari badge carries a weight unlike anything else in F1, with constant media attention and fan expectations that can shake even the strongest drivers. The truth is, with a name like Hamilton, the scrutiny is always immense. Every missed podium becomes a headline, every small error is amplified, and every comparison with Leclerc, or with rivals in other teams, fuels the narrative that his glory days are behind him. But if history has shown us anything, it's that Lewis Hamilton thrives on challenges. Whether he can rise to this one remains to be seen, but this might just be one of the biggest tests of his entire career.
One of the biggest storylines of the 2025 Formula One season has not been on the track, but rather behind the scenes. Red Bull went through a turbulent period after the departure of its longtime team principal, Christian Horner, who had been in charge since 2005 and was synonymous with the rise of the team into a global powerhouse. For weeks, rumors circulated about instability, with engineers leaving, structural changes being implemented, and even speculation that Max Verstappen could walk away from the team. Now, with Laurent Mekies at the helm, things appear to have taken a calmer direction. Verstappen himself has spoken publicly about how the atmosphere within Red Bull has shifted since the leadership change. According to the four-time world champion, the mood is now more positive and more like a family, something he says was always central to his journey at Red Bull. For Verstappen, this sense of unity is not just a matter of comfort, it is essential for high performance and long-term commitment. He went further, stressing that he sees himself staying at Red Bull until the end of his career. That's a strong statement, especially after a summer in which he was linked to other teams and even hinted at being frustrated with the uncertainty around him. What changed, according to him, is the trust and open dialogue that have returned to the team. Engineers, mechanics, and leadership are once again aligned, working together in a way that feels natural rather than forced. Still, Verstappen didn't sugarcoat the reality of the season. He admitted that the 2025 car has not delivered the expected level of performance. Red Bull has shown flashes of speed with strong qualifying sessions and some dominant race weekends, but it has also struggled to maintain consistency against Ferrari, Mercedes, and McLaren. It's not yet where we want to be, Verstappen said, but he emphasized that internal restructuring and technical adjustments are already underway, which gives him confidence that the team is moving in the right direction. The departure of Horner was a shock, but Verstappen suggests that in some ways, it opens space for new energy. Mekis, who has experience in senior roles at Ferrari and AlphaTauri, seems to have established a culture of collaboration rather than command, and this has resonated with the Dutch driver. The focus now, Verstappen explained, is not only on the short-term fight in 2025, but also on the major regulation change coming in 2026, when the entire grid will reset with new engines and aerodynamic concepts. For Verstappen, building a strong internal culture now is just as important as solving the technical issues of this year's car. He said the team feels like a family again, and that's what will allow us to fight for championships in the future. He knows that Red Bull cannot afford to let the off-track noise disrupt its development at such a critical moment. The question, of course, is whether this new atmosphere will translate into results. F1 history shows that culture and leadership matter as much as pure engineering. Red Bull has always been known for its aggressive innovation and bold decisions, but it has also thrived when its key figures, drivers, engineers, and management, were united behind a common goal. Verstappen's words suggest that this unity may be returning just in time.